Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something I think many of us wonder about. What really sets successful people apart?
Yeah, what's the secret sauce?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've been digging into some material called What Successful People Do Differently. And our goal here isn't just to list things off.
No, definitely not another overwhelming checklist.
Right. We want to pull out the really powerful stuff, the daily habits, the ways of thinking that you can actually start using right away to, move toward your own goals without feeling swamped. We're after the real game changers.
Precisely. And the source material really pushes back against the idea of just luck or, raw talent being the only factors. It argues pretty strongly that success is built. It comes from consistent choices, habits that become second nature, and, well, a particular mindset.
So we're going to break down what it identifies, like morning routines, goals.
Yep. Morning habits, how they set goals, manage time, keep learning, the power of positive thinking, and even how important relationships are. And what's really interesting is seeing how these pieces, they sort of fit together. They reinforce each other.
All right, let's start with the morning then. The source mentions waking up early, but it sounds like it's not just about the clock.
Not at all. It's not about needing to be up at 4 a.m. necessarily.
Right.
It's about what you do with that time, creating intentional, quiet time for focus, for planning, basically setting the stage for the day.
So you're leading the day, not just reacting to whatever pops up.
Exactly. And a key part of that is actually protecting your mind first thing.
How so?
Well, the source really emphasizes avoiding the phone immediately.
The siren call of email and social media.
You got it. No diving straight into the noise. It's about setting your agenda before the outside world floods in.
That makes sense. Start proactively.
Yeah, lets you be more grounded. Even just a few minutes of quiet thought can shift things, Help you focus on your priorities instead of everyone else's.
Okay, so it's not just what you don't do, like checking the phone, but what you do instead, like gratitude. That came up.
Yes, gratitude is a big one. Sounds simple, maybe even a bit cliche to some.
Maybe.
But taking just a moment or two to genuinely feel thankful, even for small stuff, like, hey, I actually slept well, it really does seem to foster a more positive, focused mindset.
It's like tuning your brain to look for the good stuff.
Sort of, yeah. It affects your outlook, your motivation right from the start.
And this ties into the bigger picture, creating momentum for the day.
It really seems to. Setting that internal compass early on, and then there's moving your body.
Right, but we're not talking like a full-on CrossFit session before sunrise?
No, not necessarily. It could be super simple, like 5 minutes of stretching, a short walk around the block.
Just waking up the system.
Exactly. Waking up the mind-body connection, getting things primed gently.
Okay, so mind and body getting intentionally switched on.
Yeah.
Then planning. That seems almost too obvious.
It does seem obvious, but how many of us actually do it consistently first thing?
Yeah.
The source highlights just 5 or 10 minutes.
To do what specifically?
Review your main goals. Maybe jot down a short, focused to-do list. It's about consciously deciding where your attention goes.
Taking the steering wheel, basically.
Yeah.
Instead of being a passenger reacting to traffic.
That's a great way to put it. It's about agency, being the architect of your time.
Mm.
And another element they mention is feeding your mind something positive.
Like reading or listening to something inspiring.
Yeah, a few pages of a good book, a bit of a podcast that gets you thinking, maybe a motivational clip, just setting a positive, growth-oriented tone.
Like mental fuel for the day ahead.
Exactly.
The source actually gives a pretty simple starting routine, doesn't it? Like a template.
It does. Something like wake up maybe 30 minutes earlier than usual, glass of water, 5-minute stretch.
List 3 things you're grateful for. Plan your top 3 tasks.
And then read or listen to something uplifting for a few minutes.
And it emphasizes experimenting, right?
Yeah.
Finding what actually clicks for you.
Yeah. Absolutely key. These aren't strict rules. They're principles you adapt.
Good.
The core idea is just start your day with intention. Create some kind of routine that helps you be productive and feel good.
Be deliberate in those first moments.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, moving on then. Goal setting. The source really seems to hammer home the need for clarity here.
Oh, massively. Vague goals. Pretty useless, apparently.
Like, I want to be more successful.
Right. Means nothing concrete. That's where SMART goals come in. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-based.
Can you give that reading example again?
Sure. Instead of, I want to read more, which is vague, it's, I will read 10 pages of a nonfiction book every weekday for 1 month. See the difference.
Yeah, totally. Specific, measurable, seems achievable, relevant if you want to learn, and time-based. It ticks all the boxes.
It turns a wish into an actual plan, a roadmap.
And it makes big goals feel less scary.
Definitely. Which leads to the next point, breaking big goals down.
Because looking at the mountaintop can just freeze you, right?
Totally. So you break it down into, like, base camps, smaller, manageable steps.
Like the business example. Research first, then plan, then talk to someone.
Exactly. Each step feels doable. You get that sense of making progress. Little wins.
And those little wins keep you going.
Crucial for long-term motivation. Another surprisingly powerful tip. Write your goals down.
Physically write them, not just type them.
Seems so. Putting pen to paper makes them feel more real, more tangible, like a commitment.
And easier to remember, I guess.
Yeah, and the act of regularly reading those written goals keeps them front and center, reinforces your focus.
Makes sense. Keep them visible.
Yeah.
But life happens, things change.
Which is why regular review and adjustment is vital. The source stresses this.
Checking in weekly, monthly.
Like something like that.
Asking, am I on track? Is this goal still relevant? Do I need to tweak my approach? It's about being agile.
So adjusting isn't failing, it's being smart.
Exactly. It's strategic self-awareness. Now, tied into goals is focus. How do you actually do the work in our crazy, distracting world? Ah, yes, the million-dollar question. Protecting focus.
It's a battle. The source talks about creating dedicated time blocks for deep work.
Like scheduling appointments with yourself for specific tasks.
Pretty much. And using tools lists, calendars, maybe even those focus timer apps or website blockers to build fences around that time.
Minimizing the incoming noise.
Yeah.
Creating a sanctuary for concentration.
You got it. Allowing your brain to actually engage deeply. Higher quality work, often faster too.
What about visualization? Did that come up?
It did. Mentally picturing the successful outcome, seeing it, feeling it.
Why is that helpful?
It keeps you inspired, emotionally connected to the why behind the goal. Especially helpful when, motivation dips.
Keeps the fire lit when things get tough.
Exactly. Which brings us to the final piece on goals. Commitment and consistency.
Because motivation isn't always going to be there, right? It comes and goes.
It's fickle. Success, the source argues, is more about consistent effort. Showing up even on the days you don't feel like it.
Building the identity of someone who follows through.
Precisely. It's the discipline of consistency. Those small, regular actions compound over time. That's where the real magic happens.
Okay, the power of just showing up. Let's pivot to time management. First tip, sounds simple but smart. Plan your day the night before.
Yeah, it seems small, but it gives you a running start mentally.
And helps you sleep better, maybe. Getting tasks out of your head.
Could be.
Yeah.
Less mental clutter when you're trying to wind down. You wake up with more clarity, less, oh my gosh, what do I need to do today?
Right. And then there's the Eisenhower matrix. That sounds official.
It's just a simple grid, really. Urgent versus important.
Okay.
Helps you sort tasks. Is it urgent and important? Do it now. Important but not urgent. Schedule it. Urgent but not important. Delegate if you can. Not urgent and important. Delete it, basically.
Okay. A filter for deciding what actually matters versus what's just making noise.
Exactly. Cutting through the busyness to find the actual impactful stuff.
Then there's time blocking. We touched on that for focus.
Right. Dedicating specific chunks of your day, like 9 to 10 a.m. for writing, 2 to 3 p.m. for calls.
Prevents that constant draining task switching.
Yeah, helps you get into flow. But there's a nuance. Respecting your energy levels.
Meaning?
Don't just schedule rigidly by the clock. Try to match your most important brain-heavy tasks with when you naturally have the most energy.
So if you're sharpest in the morning, tackle the big strategy stuff then. Don't save it for 4 p.m. when you're fading.
Exactly. Work with your body's rhythm, not against it, and factor in breaks.
Crucial. Okay, what about saying no? That's hard.
It is, but essential. Recognizing your time is limited, strategically declining things that aren't essential protects your focus and your priorities.
Being a gatekeeper for your own time and energy.
You have to be. Related to that is automation and delegation.
Using tech for routine stuff.
Yeah.
Like auto bill pay.
Yep. And trusting others with tasks they can handle, freeing you up for the higher value things only you can do.
Smart leverage. Don't try to do it all.
No way. Finally, for time management, reflection, looking back.
Like at the end of the day or week.
Yeah. What worked? What wasted time? How can I adjust my approach for tomorrow or next week?
A continuous improvement loop for how you use your time.
Exactly. Treating it like an ongoing experiment in efficiency.
All right, let's shift gears again. Continuous learning and growth. The source suggests successful people are just naturally curious.
Seems to be a core trait. Always asking questions, wanting to understand things more deeply.
Which leads to new ideas, flexible thinking.
Right. It's seeing learning not as something you finish, but as a lifelong process, a constant exploration.
And this curiosity fuels a habit like daily reading.
Often, yes. Even just 10, 15 minutes a day. It exposes you to new perspectives, new knowledge, sharpens the mind.
Like a daily mental workout you said earlier.
Pretty much. And it compounds over time. Learning also comes from others.
Through active listening, paying attention in conversations, meetings.
Yes. And seeking out wisdom from mentors, colleagues, people with different viewpoints than your own.
So every conversation is a potential learning moment.
Potentially, yes, if you're open to it. Which ties into actively seeking feedback.
Ooh, that takes guts sometimes. Asking for honest opinions.
It does. But it's invaluable for seeing your blind spots, for improving, for not repeating mistakes. Requires humility.
And a growth mindset, which we'll get to. What about more formal learning? Courses, events, even when busy?
The source says yes. Prioritizing skill development, networking, online courses, workshops, conferences, recognizing that standing still is falling behind.
Investing in yourself continuously.
Absolutely. But learning isn't just intake. Reflection is key.
Meaning actually thinking about what you learned, how it applies.
Exactly. Processing it.
Yeah.
Connecting it to what you already know. Moving beyond just consuming information to actually constructing knowledge.
And then actually using it.
The crucial step. Practice. Applying new skills and knowledge in the real world. That's where true growth happens.
Knowledge without action is just potential.
Like a seed you never plant. You got it. And
Huh.
all of this is underpinned by that growth mindset idea.
Believing you can improve. The challenges aren't roadblocks.
Precisely. Seeing challenges as learning opportunities, not signs of fixed limits. The power of saying, I can't do this yet.
That little word yet makes a huge difference.
It reframes everything, fosters resilience, turns setbacks into stepping stones.
Okay, that mindset piece is huge. Let's dive deeper into the power of positive thinking. It starts with self-talk.
Seems so. Actively managing that inner voice.
Yeah.
Catching the negative, limiting stuff.
And consciously replacing it with constructive, encouraging thoughts.
Yeah. Building confidence from the inside out. Recognizing how much that internal narrative shapes your reality.
Being the editor of your own thoughts.
Hmm.
And focusing on what you can control.
Another big one, directing energy towards your actions, your attitude, your effort.
Instead of stressing about external factors you can't influence.
Right. It gives you a sense of agency, reduces that feeling of helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
Channel your energy where it makes a difference.
And gratitude comes up again here.
It does. Daily practice, like journaling what you're thankful for, really trains your brain to see the good.
Even when things are tough.
Especially when things are tough. Boosts well-being, resilience. Then there's reframing.
Looking at negative situations differently.
Consciously finding the lesson, the opportunity for growth, even in setbacks. What can I learn from this instead of just, this is awful?
Finding the silver lining, essentially. A resilient mindset.
Definitely. Affirmations are mentioned too.
Repeating positive statements to yourself, does that really work?
The idea is it acts like mental conditioning over time, reinforcing positive beliefs about yourself and your capabilities.
Interesting. And then there's managing external negativity.
Crucial. Being mindful of who you spend time with, what media you consume.
Avoiding energy vampires and constant bad news.
Pretty much. Consciously choosing supportive people and uplifting content. Your environment matters.
Makes sense. Protecting your mental state. And keeping a long-term view.
Yeah, seeing current challenges as temporary bumps, not the end of the road. Focusing on the bigger picture helps avoid discouragement.
Keeping perspective. Don't sweat the small stuff too much.
Right. And finally, celebrating small wins.
Acknowledging progress along the way. Not waiting for the giant finale.
Exactly. Those little acknowledgments build confidence, keep motivation high, creates that positive feedback loop.
Give yourself credit for the steps you're taking.
Okay.
Last, big area. Relationships. Building strong connections starts with who you hang out with.
Seems fundamental. Choosing your circle carefully. Surrounding yourself with supportive, growth-minded people.
And limiting exposure to negativity or people who just drain you.
Yeah, your network really influences you, for better or worse. Then there's the principle of giving before taking.
Contributing value, offering support first.
As a way to build trust and genuine connection. A spirit of generosity, not just transactional thinking.
Makes sense. Build bridges by being helpful and listening. Being a good listener.
So powerful, yet so underrated. Actively, empathetically listening makes people feel heard, valued.
Builds much stronger understanding and connection.
Absolutely. Communication, too. Clear and honest.
Being direct, respectful.
Yeah. It builds trust, reduces misunderstandings, lowers stress all around. No games, just clear intentions.
What about celebrating other people's successes?
Key for building a positive, supportive community. Genuinely being happy for others shifts the dynamic from competition to mutual encouragement.
Fosters collaboration, lifts everyone up.
Exactly. And conflict. It happens. How do successful people handle it?
The source suggests calmness. Listening to understand the other side.
And focusing on solutions, not blame. Approaching it constructively.
Seeing it as a chance to understand and maybe even strengthen the relationship. Not just win an argument.
Right. And just staying in touch.
The simple stuff. Reaching out.
Yeah, regular small gestures show you care, keep the connection alive. Doesn't have to be huge.
Nurturing relationships takes consistent small efforts.
It does. And finally, viewing every interaction as a potential learning opportunity.
For feedback, different perspectives.
Exactly. Being open to what you can learn from others in your network.
Okay, so putting it all together, it's intentional mornings, clear goals with focus, smart time management, continuous learning, positive thinking, and strong relationships. It's a lot, but it connects.
It really does. And the big message is success isn't magic. It's built through these consistent small actions and mindsets.
It's less about giant leaps and more about the daily steps.
And importantly, these are things you can learn. They aren't fixed traits you either have or don't.
They're skills and habits you can cultivate.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership.
So for everyone listening, maybe the actionable step is Don't try to do everything at once.
Please don't. That's overwhelming.
Right. Maybe pick just one thing, one habit or mindset shift we talked about that really clicked with you.
Yeah, pick one and commit to trying it, really trying it for maybe just a week.
And see what happens. Maybe just notice, reflect a little each day. How did it feel? Did it shift anything?
Exactly. Small experiments. See how it impacts your day, your focus, your movement towards what you want.
Okay, final thought then. Consider this. What if you consistently applied just one of these principles, day after day?
Think about the compounding effect over time. It could lead to significant growth, maybe in ways you can't even quite picture right now.
So the question to ponder is, what's the one small change, if you're really committed to it daily, that could have the biggest long-term impact on your most important goals?